Welcome back to Houston Newsmakers, where I've been talking with Kathy Navarez, the Program Director for Child Advocates, Rania Mancarios, the Executive Director of Crime Stoppers, and Fritz Guthrie, the CEO of the Escape Family Resource Center. Thank you again for being here. Rania, before we continue our conversation, Crime Stoppers is having its annual Houston Heroes Awards luncheon in about a week and a half. What's that all about?
Well, it's very important to us because Crime Stoppers feels that public safety is a community project. We're all invested in public safety. So once a year we gather together and we honor certainly those in law enforcement who take a stand for public safety. We'll be honoring Constable Alan Rosen, and then volunteers, community members who are standing up to protect children, our community in full. And so we'll be honoring Steve Mock, Constance White, Councilmember Brenda Stardig, and it's all happening on the 19th at the Royal Sonesta Hotel.
From 11 to 1 p.m., so it's a good lunch. Crime Stoppers crime-stoppers.org.
Yes.
You guys got to be a little, yeah, that's all right. We'll get it done. It seems to me that that all of us can be heroes as it relates to stopping child abuse. We've often heard police agencies telling us in this era of terrorism that if you see something, say something. I guess all of you would be on board with saying, you know what, as far as child abuse is concerned, you really got to do that.
You actually have to. It's the law. You have to. So, you know, and that doesn't apply just to teachers and doctors and nurses. It's everyone. If you see it, suspect it, you have to say something.
One of the things that seems to me is that how do you know what child abuse is? It comes in various forms, does it not?
It does. It does.
How do you break it down?
Well, you know, child abuse by its definition is, you know, the physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, and then there are signs of it. Children that change their behavior, seem withdrawn, do not behave the way a typical child of the same age behaves. You have an idea. The hard part is kids can't communicate it directly. We as adults have to be able to see and tell the signs and be able to be their voice.
Fritz, you have your website is Learn to Parent, I know, .org, I think. But when you talk about that, when we talk about how to say something when we see something, somebody may be spanking their child, giving them regular discipline. And so there's a line that we kind of figure out where do we have to go to make that known that maybe it's overboard.
There is a line, but I think it's up to the person seeing it. Is this a constant thing? Is this something that happens all the time? Is this actually physically threatening a child? And if a child, we want the child to also be aware. So we make it part of our curriculum to let the child know they need to say something. They need to recognize the signs themselves. They need to be allowed to say, someone doesn't need to be doing this to me.
Kathy, let me ask you about the advocate's mission, because you get the volunteers, we know they get sworn in. I don't want people who might want to be a volunteer to not understand what some of the reality is. I don't want to sugarcoat it at all for them. You talk about these situations that are really difficult. What kind of process will a volunteer go through? What will they see and how will they have to deal with it?
So the first step is they would come to an hour-long orientation session at our office and hear details about our court-appointed advocate program. And then if they decide that they want to become a court-appointed advocate, they would go through our 30-hour training course, which we provide through our staff as well as outside speakers. They learn about substance abuse, details about abuse and what our children go through, and their role as a court-appointed advocate and what's important for them to do to make sure that they're serving the best interests of their children. Our volunteers come from all walks of life or all different ages, so really if you have the desire to help a child and you can carve out a little bit of time in your schedule, we can train you to do the work.
How do you help somebody get past the reality of an actual case that they see, which is just horrifying to them?
And I think, you know, that's a reality that even those of us who have been doing this for years deal with. It is difficult to see, and you know, you hurt for the children because it's, you know, that what has happened to them is wrong, but you know, all we can do is try to make it better. You know, with our kids, we know it's important to teach them that what happened to them was wrong, and ultimately we need to do everything we can to help them be productive, successful adults, and most importantly, loving and protective parents to their own children one day.
And Fritz, you're teaching parents how to be better at what they do. Who actually teaches those classes? What kind of people teach those classes? And can you tell if those classes are successful in terms of helping to change the tone and the attitude of some parents who may need that kind of help?
Yes, we have bachelor's and master's degree level educators teaching our classes, both in English and Spanish, and we do a lot of tracking and we do a lot of analysis afterwards to show that they are succeeding. We have about a 78% success rate that we are sure about. But the great thing is when you end a class, to see a parent come in and with a smile on their face or tears in their eyes saying, I've made a difference. I am a better parent. I'm doing better things with my children, and it happens all the time.
You've got an event coming up. I know that income is good to help your organization.
It certainly is.
You've got the Celebrity Serve event coming up at Tony's Restaurant. That's pretty swanky.
Yeah, that is. That is. We're very fortunate and proud to have been there for several years. Our Celebrity Serve benefit for Escape is on April the 23rd. It's a Sunday evening, 6:30. We are publicly supported, so we count on these events to be big and good. But this year we have Stephanie Powers from the Heart to Heart program, and the man from Uncle coming in to, talk to us. We also have lots of representatives from the Houston media coming in to serve and be our table hosts and talk to people, and hope you can join us.
Well, it's a Sunday night, so there's a possibility I might be able to do that. We'll give that a shot. Thank you for inviting me. Let's talk about the neglect, which seems to be one of the biggest forms of abuse, just neglect. How that and other kinds of neglect that cause problems with children in our community, among the three of you, how optimistic are you that what you're doing is going to make a difference that's going to make our communities better? I'm an eternal optimist, so I'm always thinking it's
I think with neglect, one of the biggest things, with neglect specifically, is education. Right. I think education really can have a huge impact on combating neglect. How to properly care for, goes something small, how to properly care, bathe, take care of, provide nutrition, food, shelter. There are a lot of parents that are overwhelmed. There are a lot of parents that are financially struggling. There are a lot of parents that are just moving to this country and trying to make ends meet. Education is where we can make a huge difference there. Now, certainly we've seen extreme, horrific cases of neglect where children are purposefully starved or abused, handcuffed or chained, and that's a whole other conversation. But I think all three of us and our organizations are working really hard on the educational front, and I think that's where you'll see the greatest impact in that area of neglect.
I want to make sure I give everybody the information they need to get in contact with the Escape Family Resource Center. It's one of those easy websites to remember, learntoparent.org.
It is.
Can't get much better than that. 713-942-9500. And Crime Stoppers of Houston, we'll get to that as well. That is crime-stoppers.org. And that number is 713, that's not up there right now. We'll get to that in a second. Very important information for all of you. I want to put that up as we go to break. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate all that you've done, all that you continue to do.
Thank you.
And we look forward to really positive results in what all of your organizations are doing. So as we go to break, we want you to take a look at this Crime Stoppers information here. 713-222-TIPS is the main number for tips. If you see anything, you need to give them a call. We can make a difference. The importance of Asian films in Houston when Houston Newsmakers continues.